Hello! Sorry it's so gloomy. It's raining like terribly outside. In fact, it might even be snowing. Um, this video is it's kind of like a little bit of a taster of what I'm doing on my Patreon page in relation to the trumpet. In these current times, we're sort of not really getting that much of a chance to get together as much as we would like, obviously. And those opportunities that I often have to talk to people who are interested in the trumpet and playing the trumpet, they're just not happening as often as they might. So as opposed to these videos being like really to replace trumpet lessons, that's not really what I'm after. It's really to replace those moments where you can have a talk about trumpet playing. So particularly, I often get around to community groups in Canberra, like community orchestras and community big bands and things like that, and have conversations about, and lots of people are having lessons or having intermittent lessons or have had lessons. They don't need complete from the ground up, but just some little insights can really help. So that's what this part of my Patreon page is all about, just kind of seeing if we can keep that conversation going. What I played right at the start is just to get in context about what I want to talk about today, which is how to approach physical stress when playing the trumpet. If you watched the first video I did, I really talked a lot about mental approach, and that's really what I'm going to focus on in a lot of these videos, is how to approach things mentally, because I found it really critical in improving my playing and being able to just play as close to the standard that I would like to be able to. So yeah, we're going to talk about how to maybe not think our way through physical stress, but use a mental approach to deal with the physical problems we encounter when playing the trumpet. So obviously, the physical problem I had with that particular phrase that I opened up with is that it's reasonably high. It's not terribly high. I mean, it does go to a D sharp, but you kind of creep up to it, so it's not terrible. But the context that I play that in is in a band that's reasonably loud. It's obviously a Daft Punk kind of cover, just sort of a bit, maybe not the first thing you'd think of, but like it's quite a loud band that I play that in. And also, I'm playing all the time in that particular chart, which really kind of wears me out. Where I played that, I've been playing for about 50 or 60 bars non-stop. The previous stuff isn't particularly high, but it's enough. So by the time I get there, I'm starting to feel it. And so that line is something that often causes me a few physical problems. And I think we all know what I'm talking about if you're a trumpet player when we talk about physical problems. Just feeling like it's not going to come out, the sound's stopping, the sound's breaking up, it hurts. We just can't play in tune, we're really out of tune up there, or whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be simply to do with register, so playing high. Obviously that's one of the first things that starts to give us physical stress, but it could just be playing for a long time and our embouchure is wearing out. It could be playing something that's really fast. It could be playing something that's quite athletic in how it's moving, so jumping across some larger intervals, things like that. Makes our bodies be under quite a lot of stress to get this happening, and really that's not what we're here for. We're here to enjoy playing music. So it is a bit of a bummer that the trumpet works like this, but there's nothing you can do about it. So, well, what you can do about it, or at least what I do about it, I have found really helpful in recent years, is yes, there are all the mechanics that go about how to make a sound on the instrument, how to play high, how to play when we're tired, all of those things. But don't neglect what's going on in your head and how you're thinking about approaching it, because that can be really helpful. So really, I use two things really consistently on that particular line, but in anything that poses me the same kind of physical problems. So the first thing is it's sort of something that runs in the back of my mind when I come up against these kinds of things, and that's understanding the physics of how the instrument works. Because when you do that, you can remind yourself that there are certain things that your body might be trying to do that aren't actually helping. So that's number one. And number two is relaxed pre-visualization. And we'll kind of get to that once I break them both down. So the first one, understanding the physics of the instrument, is if you understand what's actually going on to make a trumpet sound, and to make a good trumpet sound, it can really help a lot when we're dealing with physical stress. So what we're doing is we are creating a resonance in this pipe with our air that then goes and vibrates our lips, and the vibration of the lips creates the sound wave. And our lips vibrate kind of in sympathy with that air resonating. What it's not is we are not pushing air between our lips to force them to vibrate. Although you can do that and you can make a sound on the trumpet. But that's what we might call overblowing. And that just creates physical stress. What we're doing is we're creating a resonance within the pipe, and our lips are vibrating with that resonance, kind of in sympathy. And they'll do that when they're relaxed. And then what we're doing is we're manipulating how fast we make that air resonate. Fast, and it's to do with frequency. The faster the air resonates, the faster the frequency, the higher the pitch. The slower, the lower. And so having that going on in the back of your mind, I find really useful when we're coming to those moments of physical stress, because your body can feel compelled to really force, but I can calm it down and say, hang on a second, no, it's about resonance. That's what's making this work. So that's going on in the back of my mind. Then, when I'm talking about this idea of relaxed pre-visualization, the thing that really makes the trumpet stop working when we're physically stressed is tension, really. We get stressed for whatever reason. So for the example I played at the start, it might be because it's high, and I've been playing for a long time, so I'm tired as well. So that's what's causing the stress, and then as a result, my body creates this tension, which works against this idea of the lips vibrating in sympathy with the resonance of the air, and that just shuts the whole thing down. And so when I talking about relaxed pre-visualization, which is, I'm completely ripping it off from heaps of really great trumpet players, this is not my idea. What I'm really talking about is this idea of to remove that tension that comes when we're under stress. I really do two things. I try and hear the sound that I'm after before I get there, and even hear it, like the quality of it, like a really relaxed, resonating sound. So I'm trying to, and I'm trying to use that as a way to get myself to relax. And then, for me, and this will be different for everybody, but for me, I notice the specific places in my body that hold tension, particularly when I'm stressed, like physically stressed, playing the trumpet, which is, for me, quite often just kind of the top of my abdominal muscles, my core. It's not really my diaphragm, it's kind of the muscles above it, and particularly my shoulders. Like I'll often catch myself being like this, but really if I can get rid of the tension in those two places, what tends to happen is this tension here starts to just very slightly infect my embouchure, and it all goes badly. As soon as I take it out of these places, my shoulders and my core, really, my embouchure relaxes as well. So these two things, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the physics of the instrument, and then this relaxed pre-visualization. Hearing my sound, hearing this kind of sound that I want, whilst relaxing my body. That's what enables me to really get some of this kind of stressful playing to happen. And what I found is that, look, initially, it's like we all discovered, like when we first started playing, it felt like the only way we could get some of this stuff out was to like contort ourselves in all kinds of shapes and try and smash ourselves into the mouthpiece and like blow as hard as we could. But once this idea of being relaxed comes into it, it's like a good slope. So as opposed to a slippery slope into oblivion, it's like this really controlled slope into things being a heap easier. Playing for longer, playing higher, playing faster, getting all of those things that might have physically tripped us up, all of a sudden start to really happen. And look, it comes from here because I'm sure all of you have like had lessons with teachers, looked at online things, read books or whatever, and you know the mechanics of how we can get through some of these hard, physically hard passages to play. But until you get this kind of sorted out, it doesn't matter how much you understand that stuff, it's really hard to do, For me, just getting those really high notes to happen, even though I knew that using my tongue to create airspeed differences would really work, if I was tense, it just wouldn't work. For those of you interested, Adam Rapper, who's a really kind of pretty full-on trumpet player, he's got some really great videos about using kind of the tongue to control the airspeed. I could understand that stuff, but and I could actually physically do it. I could make my tongue make these shapes, but it was horrible what was coming out until I get my brain to and my mind to be in this relaxed state to get it to work. So, just to recap, we all come across these moments of physical stress when we're playing the trumpet. Understanding how the instrument works can help us get to this position of being able to think about being relaxed, and then choosing to work out how to relax our body. I do it by pre-visualization. Can really help. So I hope this has been insightful. If it gives you a bit of a taste for what the sorts of things that I'm putting up on the Patreon site that I've got running, I'd love you to check it out. Like I said, it's more just to keep these conversations that I've discovered have stopped happening in my kind of life. It's kind of to keep them going. I really love talking about the trumpet, and how to make it work, and how come it doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. So it'd be great if you could check it out. Thanks. Hopefully the weather gets better because it's pretty grim at the moment.